What is going on, everybody? Top of the morning. It is Randy Paddock here, and you are listening to Bull Chat with Randy Paddock, episode 7. So we made it 7. Hopefully, everyone had a great Thanksgiving. This is the weekend after Thanksgiving, so hopefully, everyone had a good one. But you know what that means is that it is officially Christmas time, and I'm okay with it. I am the biggest lover of Christmas time. I love all the shit. So I love Santa Claus. I love Christmas trees. I love ornaments. I love presents. I love tinsel. I love Christmas lights. I love all the holiday music that you keep hearing and hearing. I love hot chocolate. I love cookies. I love elves. I love toys. I love everything, man. I think people are awesome to each other. I'm a big fan of. I love giving people stuff. I like red and green. I'm a big fan of Christmas time. So again, we gave Thanksgiving its due, which needed to be done, and now that is over. So everyone can officially move into Christmas. Mad props to the people that people don't even fuck around these days, man. I was looking on my Facebook and MySpace. I was about to say, sorry, grabbing a bone from Leroy. He keeps eating these throughout the time, these things here, and it's just loud as fuck. But I was looking at my Facebook and Instagram and all these people the day after Thanksgiving on Black Friday actually putting together all their Christmas stuff, put their Christmas trees. So props to you guys. Um, Something that's funny though that I don't like about this season is like the teases, right? So this is probably for Thanksgiving and then going into Christmas. XM Radio has been doing like a teaser for the last week, which sucks because I used to have it. I'm like, nah, fuck it, it's not that important. But I can see why they do it, man. It's like crack. 'Cause I did forget how great some of those XM radio stations are. I mean, there's the one that plays all '90s like grunge. That one's awesome. So I listen to that. I like the indie station. They got a Tom Petty radio now, so that's really good. They got an Eagles one. They got all the sweet ass rap stations. They got one that plays all '80s and '90s, one that plays 2000s. Then they literally have the '80s, the '90s, 2000s. Then they got a hair metal station. So, anyways, they got a station for everything. And I forgot how much I like that shit. And I see how drug dealers do what they do. I mean, it just makes sense. So, if you're like a crack dealer or something, or a heroin dealer or something, what you do is you give them a little taste for free, right? It's like, yeah, man, no big deal. Here's some rocks, right? And then they smoke the rocks and they love the rocks and they come back and do whatever it takes to get the rocks. I feel that that's happening to me with this XM preview. Is that they give me like a week? That's like the dealer, like, here you go, man, try some of this shit. And then I've tried it, even though I've had it before. Maybe I'm like an addict that went to rehab and then got clean and I've been sober for a long time and I just fell back because someone's like, here, just take one drink's not, no big deal. One rock ain't bad. And fuck, but it's been awesome. So hopefully I'm gonna go cold turkey and don't end up buying that shit again. Um, so also with Thanksgiving, I got to thinking, obviously I talk a little bit about, being grateful for things, and I write down in a journal daily, gratitude and stuff. But I was really thinking about it on Thanksgiving, and I was talking to my mom about like friends, and everyone has like friends, right? Everyone has like their big group of friends, and everyone has a lot of friends. Like you're a social person, you do a lot of things, like you have a lot of friends, but you got like like your boys or like your crew, and that are like your friends within your friends, right? I mean, there's all different levels of this shit, right? There's like, oh, there's that guy I know that's my associate, that's my friend of a friend. Oh yeah, they're my friends. They're my friends I would hang out regularly. They're my friends I see at the bar, but these are like my friends that like I would go to the wall for. And you only have like a couple of those, and especially I feel as you get older that you get less and less. So I don't have that many. I have like maybe five. Um, I was thinking about that the other day. My group of really good friends, we're like the shittiest group of friends in terms of like staying up with each other because unfortunately we're all kind of scattered about. One of them's one of my boys, Hollywood J. Rowe. He's a road warrior, right? So he's always gone doing things. My buddy Whitty, he's out in California. My buddy Mush, he's up in the Northeast. Um, I had a couple of my buddies here, but Sammy the Bull, he's got a family, does his thing on the regular. I'll see him, from time to time. And then Robbie Short Dick has like a girlfriend that lives out of state, so he goes there a lot. So we just don't see each other all that much, and we're not good at keeping up. So I was kind of talking to my mom about that because, again, I was looking on like Facebook and Instagram, and I was seeing all these people doing all these things with their friends, and man, that's awesome. And just don't take that for granted, especially if you have like your boys, like your crew, like accessible to you on the regular. Like hang out and do shit with them. I'm in the anomaly too because I don't have a family or anything. So like some of my buddies, or most of my buddies do, so they can kind of like do stuff with the kids and this and that. And it's fair if you don't invite me to those things because I don't want to go to those things either. But like, so I'm really on the outside, so I got to really make an effort to do those things. So if you have that, do that shit all the time. It's so cool. Like, don't take it for granted. I actually started a group text and kind of hit everybody up and let them know, and we got to chatting, and hopefully we'll plan a trip. Last time we all went on a trip together, it got pretty stupid pretty fast. But anyways, I was talking to my mom about it because it's kind of the same way, like she was talking to one of her good friends lives in Vegas, and she doesn't get out there that much, and she's like, um, when we see each other, we don't see each other that much. When we do, it's like we didn't miss a beat. And I'm like, that's the same exact way. And I think that's like a special thing about the human experience and about, being connected is that with your great friends or even some like dipshits in general. Like I'll see fuckers today that'll bring up some shit for like cover 2 days. Like, hey, Paddock, remember that fucking time that you wore that onesie? Or hey, dude, remember blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. Not really. I mean, I was probably blackout drunk, but I'm sure it happened. That makes sense. Or I'll be at, we have a carnival in my hometown every year, Wakanda Fest. So that's under the beer tent. That's where you'll go and you'll see like all these people that every person that ever grew up in that town goes back there. It's like a rule of thumb. Even if you don't go for a couple years, you always go back sometime. You go festin'. It's just what you do. And you drink a bunch of MGDs and you talk about high school. That's just what happens. So there's fuckers I see there. Like I graduated in 2002. So that's like, so it's what, 17, like 15? Jesus, fuck. Yeah, it's a long time ago. And I'll still see people there festing. Like, hey, Paddock, remember that time sophomore year? Like, da-da-da. And these are people at private scenes since sophomore. I'm like, holy fuck. I'm like, hey, you still doing this? I'm like, no, I'm not. Because I'm 33. I'm not 16 anymore. Jesus Christ. But then, it's all good. But it's kind of funny. Maybe I'll do a whole podcast dedicated to Wakanda Fest. That's a good idea. But anyways, like, that's kind of cool because it doesn't miss a beat. Like, I could not see these guys forever, and then I'll run into them, and it's like, boom, we just pick back up and shoot the shit. So, anyways, I was thinking about friends in general, and give your buddies a call if you haven't in a while, you know what I mean? And make sure that you're being a good friend. But it got me thinking about, like, why I can't be, or why I'm not, especially in this day and age. I want to talk a little about technology today, because I fucking hate technology, and I don't understand it at all, and I'm guessing that's probably pretty ironic since I'm doing a podcast, which for sure is still in its infancy stages. Like these things haven't existed all that long, and they're fucking blowing up. People are everywhere. So I'm doing it on a computer, actually recording myself, and I get to put it on the World Wide Web or wherever it goes, where anybody can listen to it. That's pretty crazy. I'm also experimenting today with filming myself because I'm going to start up a YouTube channel for some visuals as well. I'm really trying to get this thing going, so I got to use every medium, but medium. I'm trying to do everything myself though, and it's kind of funny because I don't know shit about nothing. I'm just kind of figuring it out. That's why the shit probably sucks, is because there's an idiot at the helm. But I was thinking about just technology in general, and like I always talk a lot of shit that I'm old, which I am. I'm not young, but I'm not old. I'm 33, so I guess in the spectrum of life, if all things go well, I'm still young. But I was saying about technology and like just in my lifetime, how fucking crazy shit has become. So I was gonna talk a little bit like, so I guess technology when I was a kid, okay. So and I'm not gonna get the timeline right, so don't hit me up and be like, hey dickhead, that was before that. Like I don't give a shit. This is just going from my brain that's half mashed potatoes, the other half's filled with old bong water and Budweiser's. Like, leave me alone. I'm trying to think here. But so I took some notes and jotted some stuff down about technology back in the day and kind of where it is today and what the hell is going on. So I was thinking about first and foremost, like, so computers, right? So when like computer class when I was a kid, like when I was like in I think fifth grade or something like that might have started computer class, and the internet, which I'll get into in a minute, like it did not get invented until I was in like sixth or seventh grade. So all PI or PI, what the fuck I can't BI before internet, like there were still computers, but they were like word processors, I believe is what they were called, or something. Not microprocessors from The Departed, but I think they were word processors or something. Maybe they're called something. I don't know. This is back when like Apple wasn't the shit. Like the Mac was like the stupid looking thing. If you guys remember, it was like fucking had like the green like box that lit up and you type stuff. I don't know if any of you guys remember like Doogie Howser MD. So for you kids that don't know, NPH, Neil Patrick Harris, who's best known as Barney on How I Met Your Mother. So he started off on this show that was called Doogie Howser MD, which was awesome. And maybe the biggest bullshit show that ever fucking existed. Reason being is like NPH was like 13 or 12 or something, and he was a fucking doctor, like at a hospital. And he had like a rat tail mullet. And he had a buddy, I believe his name was Vinny, who used to like hang out in his way and go, Doog! He'd go, Doog! Doog! He had like a shitty Italian, like New York guy, Doog! Doog! That's how he'd say Doogie. He'd call him Doog. And I'm pretty sure he'd like go in his window and stuff, but then again, I might be getting that confused with Clarissa Explains It All. But anyhow, NPH was a doctor, and like he did doctor shit as like a child. But anyhow, at the end of every episode, he was like, it would be like do 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 do. That was like the music, and he'd be typing in a word processor, like journaling, like writing his thoughts. So that was like the first computers, right? And you should look up Doogie Howser MD if you want to know what I'm talking about. Give it a watch. Maybe it's good now. It probably sucks, but NPH as a kid, go for it. Anyhow, so I remember my first computer classes, and like it was all about three things. All right, that I remember about computer class. So one was like the home keys. So I remember you put your hands like on the home keys. So like, you put your pointer finger on like the F and the J, and then they followed. You know, right hand went JKL, like semicolon, left hand went FDSA. And then, you know, they showed you there was like a diagram of like where to go, where you could put your finger to hit whatever letter. So that's how you practice, and you took like tests on it and shit. And then I think when it was test time, they had these like plastic like tray things, and you had to put them over your hands. Then you had to take the test without being able to look at your fingers. So I remember that in computer class, that was one thing. The next thing that I remember about computer class was maybe my favorite part, and that was ski free. Some of you kids probably don't know what the hell that is, but if you're an older folk, you know what's up. Ski free was the game, the skiing game, and all you used was the arrow keys. There was a guy skiing down a hill, and you just moved him around to like go between moguls and shit and not hit stuff. And I think you could like change up the speeds. I just remember that was the move. Like it was on the bottom right hand side of your computer, and like when the teacher wasn't around, you pulled up ski free and got some in. And then I think like during study hall, if you had it in the computer lab or something, like you'd play ski free. And then with ski free as well was Minesweeper. So remember that game? It was like a grid, and you had to like pick different spots on the grid, and the goal was obviously not to blow up. And then there was like flags you could put. I never really understood those. I think you put flags where you thought the mines were going to be, and then that kept you safe. I just cheated all the time because that game was hard as fuck. And what they did is they allowed you to be able to pick the amount of mines in the space. So I'd always put on the biggest square with like the least amount of mines, so I like a higher probability to win. It was like such a pussy thing to do, but it made me feel good. So that's like what I remember about computer class back in the day. And like I said, like the internet didn't get invented until I was in like sixth or seventh grade. So like before that, like it's crazy. Some people are alive now that like in their lifetime Google has not like has it's like only existed, right? Like they've never lived without Google. So like anytime they've ever had a question on their brain, they could just Google it in. So I did not have that shit. Anytime I had a question about something, I'd either A, ask somebody and have the potential of some bullshit, or I had to look in a fucking encyclopedia. Yeah, we had those. We had the whole, I don't know if we were like, I don't know if we had the big shit, which is like Encyclopedia Britannica. I just remember that commercial, but we for sure had encyclopedias. We had the full set from A to Z. And like, that's how you did homework. And that's how you like found shit out is you went in the encyclopedia, you looked it up and you read about it. You also went to the library and you read books and checked out books. Fuck that. Like, I'm glad the internet came along because that was hard as a kid. You know what I mean? But maybe it made people smarter that. I don't know. But anyways, so when the internet got, and I'm just trying to think if it was like sixth or seventh grade because it was probably made before that, but it was maybe expensive and we didn't get it till then. I don't know. In my house on Anderson Road, in my dad's office, that's what was AKA the computer room. So that's where the computer was as well. And I just remember a couple things about that room and that computer. My buddy Fern gave me a disc for the game Civilization on a CD-ROM. So I used to play that in the computer a lot. I tried to get in the computer games. I just wasn't into it. But I did play that one. And then I remember like when the internet happened. So how the internet used to be back in the day, and I don't know like what the difference is or whatever, but like maybe it was just a way to use the internet. See, as you understand, I'm a fucking idiot when it comes to this, but like American Online was the first thing. So I know that's not the internet, but that was like the first like thing I remember of getting into it. And you had to use something called dial-up. So what they have now is like the internet, your internet connection's like obviously, independent from a phone line, I think. I don't know. But back in the day, it used to be the same thing. So you literally had to dial up. So what you would do is you would log on to AOL, and then there was like these three little boxes, and one was like dialing up. It was like it was like literally making a phone call to I don't know, to the internet. I don't fucking know. And then after that, there was like a running guy, like this, like doing the running man. And that's when it just made this like that's like the sound it made, and it was like the worst sound in the world, but also the best sound in the world because you knew when that shit was popping off that you're about to be online, right? And then it was like when you got in, it was like someone like, hey, and it said welcome. And then if you were cool, you had an email, you got mail, it said you got mail. And that's how that shit started. And that was like the first internet I remember. And here's the funny thing about that though, is like it used to put all this turmoil in a house because if you were a normal person, you had a phone line. And then now if you were super cool and had the internet, you still had a phone line. So some crazy shit would happen. So one being, I don't remember this exactly, but like for sure, like if someone, you had to like pick the time you want, because cell phones didn't exist either, right? So you had to pick the time you were going to use the internet because you're going to get a busy signal if someone tried to call your house. God damn it, Leroy. Got another bone. So you're going to get a busy signal if someone called the house because the AOL or the internet or whatever was using that line. I do not remember if it kicked you off if somebody called. I want to say that it didn't because that's like not in your control, but they for sure got a busy sign. But then what would kick you off is like if someone picked up the phone. I'm pretty sure if someone picked up the phone to make a call, you'd hear like, yeah, and then I think you got kicked off. Goodbye is what it would say. I'm fairly certain that's what would happen. So in a house of four, which we had, like you had to be very strategic about when you could use the internet because if someone needed to make a call, you were kicked off. And then it was, in like this login process, it wasn't like fast. Like right now, it's kind of funny how pissed we get. Like if our internet takes like a minute to like go on or whatever, we're so impatient now. Like signing, like the AOL login took like a couple of minutes. Like I remember you could like sit down, hit login. I would go to the kitchen. I would like make a sandwich. I would come back and then like it'd still be getting ready. And I'd be able to like having a snack before I heard welcome. And nowadays if it like you hit go and it's not there a second later, you throw your fucking phone against the wall. But anyway, like so that was that. That was the internet, and it would kick you off, and then I don't know if I don't remember like Google like or searching or things. I just remember like there was chat rooms for sure, and chat rooms were hilarious. I think it was like where the modern like catfishing. Star was in chat rooms because there's like a chat room for anything. So essentially, the chat room is like there's just a million, and probably not. There was probably like 100 at the time. I don't fucking know, but like different like any like you could type in like football, and then there'd be like a chat room about football. You could get more specific, maybe like Chicago Bears football, you know. Anyhow, but I remember like there was like a chat room for everything, and why I say catfishing started because this is I think chat rooms were like the kickoff to like the internet porn age. You know what I mean? Because the biggest thing was there was like sexy chats, and then for sure there was like lesbian rooms. And me as like a 12-year-old boy, what I would do is like I would, you know, you had your AOL name or your chat room name, and you would go in those things and pretend. I would try to pretend I was a lesbian to get into some lesbian talk with some ladies, right? And fuck you if you're judging me, because if you were a young boy at that time, you did the same kind of shit, right? Everyone did, so whatever, leave me alone. But anyhow, like, and I think everyone was doing it. So it's probably just a bunch of like 13-year-old dudes talking to each other, pretending they knew what was going on in the lesbian. Like, yeah, I love chicks. They're so hot. Fuck, I don't know. But yeah, I remember that like chat rooms. Like I said, I think that was like the first like porn. I think there was like all kinds of like name your sexuality or things that you're into or your kink or whatever. There's probably a chat room about it. There's probably a bunch of people that weren't into that talking about it, just doing weird shit. I don't fucking know. But it was the introduction of where we are today. Crazy. But that's what I was saying about the computers, you know, and now it's kind of funny when you think about the internet and computers because we have that shit in our hands all the time with cell phones. But like again, back when I was a kid, like there wasn't cell phones either. So again, there's this day and age, like I don't know how old you're supposed to be when you get a cell phone. I feel I see like 5-year-old kids with fucking cell phones. Like who are they calling or what are they? I don't know. But anyhow, it wasn't like that when I was a kid, you know. The first cell phone I saw, I think, well, Zach Morris's cell phone on Saved by the Bell was for sure one of the first cell phones I saw. Well, I don't even get into cell phones yet. First, like, so I didn't have a cell phone, right? So when I was in like junior high, we had what's called a pager, or a beeper. Again, I don't even know if those things exist now. I would assume that they do. I don't know. The original purpose of a pager was for like doctors and shit, right? Like if they're needed, you type in a number and it beeps and then they go back. So anyways, this and maybe like businessmen or some shit, I don't know, but it caught on to like kids. So what it was is like this thing and you had a number. I remember my pager number forever because it was the easiest. 216-2162. That's how you got a hold of your boy. But so you would put that number and then you just type in a phone number and then they knew who it was and then you could call that number back. And then there was all like there's all these different codes, right? So if you put like 911 after that, man, this is important, motherfucker, call me. If you put like 420 after it meant let's smoke doobies, right? If you put like 69 after it meant like let's hook up maybe. I just remember there's all kinds of different shit. And then as the game progressed, I think there was like voicemails. You can actually leave like a voicemail and you could check it. But anyways, in the beginning days, I just remember being at Wakanda Junior High and like I had a pager. And like they evolved, right? I had different ones. You know, you were sweet. They had like pager clips, all these access, all this shit like pre-cell phones at cell phones that now started with pagers, right? And it went through like the evolution. The first pager was like the basic like black one. Then I remember I had one that was like 2 inches long. It was fucking tiny that like slid into another clip. And then I went back to the big. Everything comes full circle. But anyhow, so you got a page and then you had to use what was called a payphone. So I'm fairly certain these don't exist anymore, but like in old movies and in people's hearts. But what a payphone was exactly what it was. It was just like these random phones that were like at gas stations that, you know, just randomly placed about. And you put in, I think it was 35 cents to make a call. And you could make a call and you got like X amount of minutes. And then you had to add, you know, you had to add cents for time. But that's what it did. Like you got a page, and then you had some change, and then you went and you made a call and you talked to the person. Or if you didn't have any change, they had these things that were called collect calls. So the collect call was, I remember you type in 1-800-collect or like 0. So that was a free call. Well, it was free for the person calling. But if the person on the, they still exist, like they come from like jail and shit. But if the person calling, they had to accept it. And once they accepted it, they had to pay for the call. Or I'm sorry, the person you were calling. The caller did not. The person you were calling, they picked it up and it'd say, you have a collect call from, and then you would state your name, and then do you choose to accept? If you choose to accept, you're not paying for the call. If you say no, then no one pays for the call. So that's another way if you didn't have any money. So that way you could really tell too if someone really wanted to talk to you. But then the shit evolved, and then you'd play a game because it said, you have a collect call from, and it would like have you state your name, but you had like 10 seconds. So the trick was this. You had to try to sneak your message in beforehand and then tell them like not to accept. It was the rule, like if you got a message you didn't accept. So like for instance, Wakanda Junior High, you get a page from your mom because you're like after school doing something and you need to know when you're coming home or you want to go home. So you collect call, it'd be like state your name, you'd be like, Mom, pick me up. And then so it would, and you gotta say it really quick, right? So then it would call like, you have a collect call from Mom, pick me up. Do you accept? And then they say no, and they knew it was time to like come pick you up, right? It was kind of funny. They made a commercial like not too long ago, and I forget what the hell it was from, but it really brought me back. It was like I don't know what it was from. It was like, you have a collect call from, and it was first name Bob, last name we had a baby eats a boy, and he's like, do you accept the charges? And the dad's like, nah. And then the mom, they hang up, and the mom's like, who was that? She's like, it was Bob. He had a baby. It's a boy. And I was like, I remember that shit so much. Just like, come pick me up. Hey, I'm uptown. Right? Uptown was where we'd hang out after school. It was where the businesses were and the McDonald's and things. I'll get into Uptown another time, but I'm uptown. Come pick me up. Like you had to sneak those things in. I remember a lot too. We used to hang out at this park called Osage Park in Wakanda. It was like this shitty basketball park, and that's where all the thug kids hung out, and that's where you can buy a bunch of dime bags and shit. My buddy Robbie used to live right by it too, like right next to it. But yeah, that's where the riffraff in Wakanda hung out, Osage Park. They're hanging out, not being good at basketball. There was tennis courts that people would play on, and majority of the time it was, maybe some underage drinking and definitely drug sales. But yeah, that's how the weed dealers got down. You get the page at Osage, and you walk up to the Clark on the 1-7 there. On 176, maybe pick up a fucking snack and then make a call, and then 20 minutes later you got some clientele coming down to pick up some fucking seedy dime bags from you. But I was thinking about that, and then came cell phones. So the first cell phones, like I said, I saw was Zach Morris's big ass cell phone. But the first cell phone I saw in real life, so the first I saw my dad had one in his work truck. And it wasn't even a cell phone. Essentially what it was like an army medic, or like an army phone. So it was like, it came in like a fucking backpack. It sat in the middle of his, like you put it in the middle of his truck, and you had to plug it in. And it was like a whole setup. It was like a bag with a phone, and the numbers were on top, but it had speakers in it. Like, so I guess it was ahead of its time, and that's what you would use sometimes. So it was kind of like this big show to pull it on. It was very big. It had a cord. And that's what my dad would have, right? Like for work. But the real like first cell phone I thought you would bring with you, and I'm sure everybody's first cell phone they remember was the Nokia phone, right? That was like this big. It had the screen on it, the numbers, and then it also had the snake game, right? And if you don't know what the Nokia snake game is, then you haven't lived, man. So essentially what it was it's just a little square starting off, and it goes down. You can move it to eat other squares, and every time you eat a square, you grow a little longer, it gets faster, and that's to see how long the snake was. So that was the first cell phone my mom had. I remember playing the fuck out of the snake game, and that was the first cell phone I ended up getting. And then there was like all kinds of evolution, in the cell phone game. It started with that, and then I don't know how like the cell phone evolution went, but I do remember that it went to Nextel, right? Like the Nextels, that was the shit. Me and all my buddies had the Nextel. So Nextel, I believe, was probably started for like construction workers or something. But what made it different was that it had a beep boop on the side, so it had a walkie-talkie. So you didn't even have to make phone calls and shit. You could just walkie-talkie your buddies, and all my buddies had them. So it was like a good way to do things. It was like, yeah, you're like the fucking special forces of doing stupid shit when you're a kid, like at a party, like beep booping all day long. But that was the evolution, and I don't know, that went out somehow. But I just remember those. There was like the construction yellow brick one that was indestructible. then there was like whatever ones, but everyone had a fucking Nextel and used the beep boop. But then somehow that died, and then now we're on iPhones and all that shit. And it's kind of funny because it's like someone that doesn't give a shit about technology, and I think I don't give a shit about it because I'm intimidated by it. You know what I mean? Like, it's really cool. You know what I mean? Obviously, like, there's all kinds of cool shit, but it's intimidating, especially. Like, I never gave a fuck to want to learn anything, so I deal with this all the time. Again, I started thinking about technology. I was in this, like, my nephew's, like, super into it, right? So that kind of helps me, but he makes me feel like an idiot sometimes. But two, I was in this, like, computer store, and this guy was just talking about all this crazy shit. I had no clue, and I was like, yeah, I don't understand technology whatsoever. So that's why I hate on it, I think. But, like, the irony is I'm fucking like Steve Jobs' wet dream, and I don't understand Apple or the phenomenon behind it. I don't get it or why it is, but I have everything of it. I'm like exactly what's supposed to happen. So right now I'm doing this thing on a fucking MacBook, right? The phone next to me is iPhone 7 or the big 7. I don't know what that means. And then I have a fucking Apple Watch, and everything's all linked together. Right, so I'm exactly what's supposed to happen. I don't know. I think the only more Apple you can get is like putting the goddamn Apple sticker on your car, and those people are just fucking dorks. But anyhow, and I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I don't even know how to link stuff together or what's what. I just know, and I don't know why Apple's so cool or why it's whatever. But I got it all. It's bullshit. And especially after I was talking to this guy, he was like talking to me about like. He turned his Android phone to have the same like iPhone interface. I think that's what it's called. Or like settings. I'm like, oh shit! So you can just do that with that. And it's telling me how like the technology's so ahead and how it's been and how just it's so much cheaper and why do you have these things and why does it cost more for the same? And I'm like, fuck, I don't know. I just have them because you're supposed to. And I think that's the deal. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to. But if anyone has any better ideas that's not Apple technology or is and better ways to use it, straight up hit me up because I'm always trying to figure it out and become better, especially as I'm trying to grow this thing here. Probably the better I know about technology and shit might help. So if you're into that, help me out. But anyhow, I seem like that motherfucker, like this was his plan, right? So good on you, Steve Jobs. And it lead me to like where we are today. So as a kid, I was a big fan of the movie Terminator 2 Judgment Day, right? And if you haven't seen that movie, fuck you. Like, there's no better way to say it. It's the greatest movie, one of the greatest movies ever. But I don't really appreciate that movie and maybe even the first Terminator until now because, like, all the shit that they were talking about that was like sci-fi and could never happen is like alive and well in 2017. So let me give you the premise of this. So Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So Miles Bennett Dyson creates this shit called Skynet, right? And what Skynet is I don't fucking know what Skynet is, but it has something to do with, it's like an internet maybe, and it has something to do with robots and machines. And anyways, the machines in Skynet become self-aware and turn on humans, like they don't need them anymore, and it starts this big ass war, and John Connor's the only guy that could stop it, and they want to kill John Connor. So the whole purpose of the Terminator is like in T2, Schwarzenegger goes back in time to protect John Connor so he can, lead the resistance against the machines, and the T-1000 tries to smoke him because he's like a machine, doesn't want that shit to happen. But anyway, back to like. And you guys all remember Miles Bennett Dyson. He's the guy at the end, like when his famous scene, he's got the fucking bomb in his hand. He's like, and it blows up. Just Google that part, Miles Bennett Dyson scene, breathing. It's fucking hilarious. But anyhow, so like you guys said, yeah, machines, bullshit. But dude, it's like going down. And that's what got me thinking about technology. Everyone, if you haven't seen this, it's on the internet, it's on like YouTube. I saw it on like Facebook or something. But they got these machines now. This fucking thing, it looks like something out of Halo or something. Like it's this robot that does like box jumps. It was like moving. And then it got to the top and it did a fucking backflip. So that's what's like going on. That's what they're making is these like mobile robots, right? And think about just all the robots that are going around. We got drones flying around and doing crazy shit, right? we got those fucking things that can go around your house and like vacuum it. I forget what the hell they're called, but like that's a robot, right? Like that's doing stuff. It reminds me of that, like that 80s movie Batteries Not Included, where like all that shit like can come to life and whatever. Like so that they got that thing going on, right? They have cars that drive themselves. That shit fucking freaks me out, man. It reminds me of Johnny Cab and Total Recall. But like I've been seeing the commercial and they got the guy that's like trying to impress his girlfriend's parents like by parallel parking, and the dad's like, he's getting a little close, isn't he? And then he just takes his hands off the wheel and the fucking thing parks itself. Like that is crazy. They're trying to get these self-driving cars. Like so like all this stuff is going on, right? And it's nuts. Like what if and I'm just saying like what if they decided to do their own thing? Like there's all this artificial intelligence coming out. Like we talk, like I got that Apple Watch, right? Like you could talk into it and things happen. Like that's some old school Inspector Gadget type shit, right? We got Siri on our phones and whatever, and Alexa and like these fucking like things that don't exist that you can talk to and have like mild conversations with, right? Like like there's face recognition all over stuff and fingerprint. All this shit is crazy to me, man. And like, so what if one day? I mean, when is the day where that shit happens? Where it's like, this, I probably sound like a fucking idiot. Like, yeah, when Terminator 2 happens, like, just imagine, what if? Like, that's what's crazy. Is like, one day, you know what I mean? They're saying that shit can spy on you. Sometimes my Siri turns on and says something that's fucking spooky. I don't know what the hell that is. Like, I'm not touching it. I don't know what's going on. I'm not talking to it, right? Like, what if your self-driving car is like having a bad day? It's like, fuck this, just goes into the other lane. What if that thing's sweeping up your house just like eat your dog? I don't know. Like this shit's crazy, man. But like think about this shit that I'm talking about. I started talking about the internet did not exist till I was in junior high, and now there's fucking robots doing backflips and box jumps. There's cars that drive themselves, and there's things that live in your house that talk to you and do what they tell you. Like fucking technology, dude. It's nuts. They're like, so I don't know what's gonna happen, and I think like I sound like nutty, and more people could sound kind of crazy because like, but it's true, man. Like not a conspiracy theory, but like all this stuff, like the Matrix. When the fuck is that happening? That's coming, right? Like who the hell knows? I don't know. It's very scary, but it's also very exciting and very cool. Like what's going on? But here's that's the safe thing, right? Fuck these machines. They don't know what's going on, and my proof is autocorrect, right? So if you don't know what autocorrect is that, you know, when you're typing a word, like it'll try to finish it for you, or like your phone will try to finish it for you, or put in what it thinks you're going to say, or if it's like a word you type a lot, it'll assume it's that. And that shit's wrong all the fucking time, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, and you don't even pay attention, you think it did it right, and then the person you text is like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you're like, oh yeah, I meant to say basement, not boobment, right? Or whatever your autocorrect is, right? So that is my saving grace, that these machines are still kind of dumb because they don't know it all, and they don't know us as well as they do because no, I did not mean to say that. And then and like they get shit wrong all the time. So the saving grace is maybe this fucking robot that does box jumps and backflips, like backflips into the water and short circuits himself, or maybe the car that park itself, you know, forgets to turn on one day, or you know, who the fuck knows? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, don't be too scared of the machines because autocorrect's still alive and well, and it's fucking hilarious because they mess it up all the time. So you don't know what I'm thinking, computer, so eat shit, right? But I just want to talk about that today. Technology, I just got to think about a little bit, and about my friends, about things. But make sure that you hit me up, bullchatpod@gmail.com if you want to give me any feedback, which I always appreciate. If you want to talk some shop, if you got some funny stories, some ideas. Like I said, maybe like I'm thinking about trying to maybe get guests on. I don't know how the fuck to do that. I got this YouTube channel that I'm going to try to start with this one. I don't know if anyone will ever watch it, but who gives a fuck? And we'll put stuff onto it. That's going to be on YouTube, Bullchat Pod. Obviously, you could follow me, PugLife847 on Instagram. You know, Randy Paddock on Facebook, at Randy Paddock on Twitter. But have a great one. Get in the Christmas season. Say hey to your friends. Watch out for the machines. And until the next time on Bull Chat, put this one in the books. Peace.